Gen Z isn't lazy, overly sensitive, or addicted to phones. That's the surface level take. To actually understand Gen Z, you have to look at the psychology behind how they grew up, what shaped their brains, and why they think and behave the way they do. Gen Z is the first generation that never knew a world without the internet. From early childhood, their brains developed alongside smartphones, social media, instant messaging, and unlimited access to information. That alone changes everything. Their attention isn't broken, it's optimized. They're used to processing large amounts of information quickly, scanning patterns, and filtering relevance in seconds. That's why long, slow explanations lose them, but sharp, meaningful content grabs them instantly. They also grew up watching crises unfold in real time. Economic recessions, climate change, pandemics, political instability, social injustice. Gen Z didn't read about these in textbooks later in life. They watched them happen on screens with commentary, arguments, memes, and emotional reactions layered on top. Psychologically, this created a generation that is highly aware, but also highly anxious. Many Gen Z individuals carry a constant background stress even when things seem fine on the surface. This is why mental health is such a core topic for Gen Z. Anxiety, burnout, and emotional exhaustion aren't trends. They're responses. Gen Z talks openly about therapy, boundaries, and self-care, not because they're weak, but because they've learned early that ignoring mental health has consequences. Unlike previous generations, they don't see emotional struggle as something to hide. They see it as something to understand and manage. Another key psychological trait of Gen Z is their strong sense of identity. They care deeply about who they are, what they stand for, and how they're perceived. This comes from growing up in online spaces where identity is constantly expressed, refined, and sometimes challenged. Likes, comments, and shares became feedback loops shaping self-image. As a result, Gen Z is extremely self-aware, but also vulnerable to comparison and imposter syndrome. Authenticity matters more to Gen Z than perfection. They can sense fake confidence, forced branding, and empty motivation instantly. That's why polished but soulless content doesn't resonate with them. They prefer honesty, even if it's messy. Psychologically, this is a defense mechanism. When everything feels curated and artificial, realness becomes a form of safety. Gen Z also has a different relationship with authority. They don't automatically respect titles, age, or hierarchy. Respect is earned through knowledge, empathy, and consistency. This doesn't mean they're rebellious for no reason. It means they were raised in an environment where information was always accessible. If something doesn't make sense, they'll question it. If a rule feels outdated, they'll challenge it. Their psychology values logic over tradition. When it comes to work and success, Gen Z is purpose-driven but cautious. They want meaningful work, flexibility, and balance, not because they lack ambition, but because they saw older generations burn out. Psychologically, they associate success with well-being, not just money or status. This is why they gravitate toward freelancing, side hustles, creator economies, and unconventional career paths. Gen Z humor also reveals a lot about their psychology. It's ironic, self-aware, and often dark. Humor becomes a coping mechanism. Memes allow them to express complex emotions, fear, frustration, hope, without directly exposing vulnerability. Laughter for Gen Z is emotional regulation. Socially, Gen Z is inclusive and values diversity, but they also struggle with loneliness. Online connection doesn't always translate to emotional intimacy. Many Gen Z individuals feel seen by thousands, but truly known by very few. This creates a strange psychological tension, constant connection mixed with emotional distance. So how do you truly engage Gen Z? You speak clearly, not loudly. You respect their intelligence. You offer value without talking down to them. You acknowledge complexity instead of pretending everything is simple. And most importantly, you stay real. Gen Z doesn't want to be sold to. They want to be understood. And when they feel understood, they listen.